Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we are back on a truck called Wanda. Cause I'm a Wanda, I'm a Wanda. I roam around. That's right, she's Wanda the Wanderer. And today we are going to be putting new front calipers on because as we got this truck further forward on previous episodes and a bunch of off-camera stuff that we did, we took it down the road. It got about a half mile down the road and the front brakes started smoking and both calipers are stuck. I'm hoping the brake lines aren't collapsed, but I don't think so because usually collapsed brake lines will release over time. These things are still stucker than a stuck thing. So I bought some new calipers, Mechanic's Choice from Auto Value. They're very inexpensive, limited warranty type things, but for this vehicle, that's going to be fine. I'm not looking for lifetime warranty, that kind of stuff. On this one, I just need something that makes it safe, makes it done, so we can go and have fun. So there's really nothing too fancy about replacing these things. They're the spring style calipers as all old Mopar had, which means there's just a spring plate that holds the caliper into the caliper mount and a brake line. So we're going to pop the brake line off first, and hopefully we see a bunch of fluid running out. Of course, it would be helpful if you grab the right size wrench. I'll be right back. All right. The line wrench or the line fitting is a 5/8. Okay, I got that loose. I'm not going to take it off yet. And then these are 9/16. Nothing fancy. We're going to grab our air ratchet here and pop those off. I had this caliper off a while ago when I was diagnosing this. I didn't have the camera going that day. Of course, these are 1/2 inch, not 9/16, and I knew that. Let's try again. Last time I had this apart, the bottom caliper mount bolt broke, and I fortunately had enough of a stub sticking out that I was able to take my oxyacetylene and heat the caliper mount up cherry red and grab that with vice grips and turn it out. Whew. Hopefully we don't have issues on the other side because I really don't have any tissues. Well, yeah, we also blew a rear brake line on this. So there's that. Oh, I hope these hoses aren't collapsed. I don't think so because we're pouring brake fluid out. So that's a good sign. All right, let me get the new caliper. Make sure I got the right one. They're all right and left. And these are called semi-loaded, which means nothing. It means they come with the spring mounts, but they don't come with brake shoes and everything. It's convenient that you can buy all of this stuff now, a lot of this stuff. You can buy loaded calipers, which means it comes with your brake shoes and everything right in it. But I'm old school anyway. I generally don't do that. But I mean, if the price makes sense, then by all means. Well, darn it. Can't get that out of there. Let's see. Does this work? Nope. Be right back. Oh, here's one. Yep, there we go. Just needed a smaller screwdriver to get out my little plastic cap. I always try to keep these for future. Well, that thing is in there like an in there thing. There we go. I'm trying not to mess up the little brass washers that are there because, we might need those. Let's see. Yep, that's the right one. So I'm going to get this mounted on here, and I'm not going to bore you with all that. We'll be right back. All right, she's all bolted up. I got the bleeder. Nope, I didn't loosen it. I got to loosen the bleeder up so it can gravity bleed, and then we'll put some suction on it to try to suck it, and we'll see what happens. I can't pump these calipers up yet because of that rear brake line back there on the axle. I got to replace that blew when I was working on the front. I smashed on the brake pedal real hard to see if I could get the caliper broke loose while it was off, and so we'll be doing that yet today also. But anyway, one step forward. All right, let's get this one done, and then we'll see if we can bleed them. I'm so afraid those brake lines are collapsed, but we'll know, I hope. Okay, my bleeders are both open. I've got my handy dandy little bleed tool hooked up there. And let's see, this bleeder is open here. So we're going to apply just a little bit of pressure. Not much. Doesn't take much. I've done this many times. Doesn't take much. Just a little bit of air pressure to get things flowing here. Oops. Looks like my cap is leaking a little bit. Not sure where it's coming from. Oh, it's coming out the vent, and that's okay. Okay, let's bump her up a little bit more. Okay, we're starting to blow out brake fluid. But that should be enough to get us flowing, so we'll come back here in a bit. So here's where we're at. I have the front port on the master cylinder plugged to eliminate the rear brakes. I pumped up the front brakes. That little bleeder cap, that was the first time I ever used it. It didn't work as I've expected. I've definitely used the units that go on top of the master cylinder and pressurize the brake system. I'm wondering if that one didn't work because I wasn't building enough pressure. So I may re-engineer that because the caps themselves were leaking. So I may make one that seals tight with a clamp. That's probably the better way to do it so that there's zero leakage. But anyway, I was able to get them bled out a little bit by myself. We sprung a leak down at the proportioning valve. It was one of the brand new lines that I did. I replaced all the lines down around the proportioning valve, and one of those sprung a leak. Well, it didn't spring a leak. It wasn't tight enough. So I tightened that up because we had a real spongy pedal. I could tell I was losing fluid because I saw it dripping on the floor from back there. That's taken care of now. I drove it up and down the driveway. The left front brake is working good. The right front isn't. So I'm not going to sweat that yet. We've got to get that rear line fixed. But I do want to be sure, from what I can tell driving, the calipers are no longer stuck. That one I'm sure isn't because I don't think that one's working much. This one I don't think is sticking anymore. So let's just jack it up in the middle and see what we got. Jack it up in the middle so we can get both tires off the ground and just check them real quick and make sure that nothing is sticking. So we're off center just a little ahead. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Right in there. Well, gee whiz. There we go. Come on. There we go. Both of them are off the ground. So like I said, the right one I'm quite sure is going to be loose as a goose. Yep, that one was stuck hard before, so that's good. And then this, oh yeah, we're good. So, and again, I'm not worried about over here because they were working before we replaced the calipers, so I got a feeling it has to do with having that rear brake line plugged off, and probably there's a bunch of air in here as well. But the point is they're not stuck anymore, so that's a winner, chicken dinner. All right, I got to get these calipers back to the auto parts because they didn't charge me my core charge. They said bring them back. It's been 5 days now, and they called last night and said, hey, did you forget? I said, no, I haven't had time to do the job. That's why I made it a priority today. Plus, I need to get this on the road because I need to drive this. Every car that I have that's a driver is either broke down or has problems. So it's just one of those things in life right now. I just don't get me started on this whole situation. But anyway, we get through it. We always do. All right, I'm going to go make a road trip, and we'll be back after a brief word from our sponsor.
Yep, and here we are with the MKS secret weapon, Super Clean. If the women don't find you handsome, they can at least find you cleanly.
Okay, so I got the old line out of there, and it's just a shorty. It looks like this, so I'm going to sort of duplicate that thing, and we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to bend this up. I love this Cant Kink line. It's good stuff to work with. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Okay, well, you don't need to sit here and watch me do this. I'll be a while. Then I got to flare this. Don't forget to put the nuts on before you flare it. I say that, and that'll guarantee I forget to put the nuts on before I flare it. Just like that. Got a little bending to do, but she goes in, something, I don't know. It goes in there, is what I'm saying. So we'll go get it installed and get the brakes hooked back up in the master cylinder and see what else we can make leak. Okay, the line is in. The rear bleeders are open. I've got my little air pressure thing on, and it's working perfectly. It was barely trickling as a gravity bleed, but now that I did this, it's moving along nicely. So, winner. I know if that's sealed better up there, it would work better. So I'm going to work on that. I'm thinking about making a flat plate, but let me show you. We got nice drips. But just this little thing on here like this, and it's putting, I don't know, only like half a pound of pressure. I don't want to put much because this doesn't seal 100%. But the concept is there. I'm thinking about just making a plate with 2 nipples and a Y, and then a piece of rubber that would go over it to seal it to any master cylinder, not just this type. So I'll just probably make that a milling project someday. And that will work on clip style or this screw style as well. So I've worked with those before. We had them in the shop and stuff, you know, professional ones you buy, and there's a clamp you put around here and stuff. So it's nothing new. I'm not inventing anything, you know, unique here, but this is a pretty cool idea, and you know, I've worked with them before, and I think it's going to be nice here in the shop since I'm by myself most of the time. So I was just standing here, and I had to refill the master cylinder before it ran out. And the speed of that drip right there, without the pressure, was like half of that. So we're definitely moving some air through. So I'm going to put another half a master full of air through it. And let's see, this is the closest one, so I need to shut this one first anyway. I'll probably shut this one now. We'll let the other one bleed just a little more, and then we'll shut them down. All right, we've bled them. Oh, that pedal is rock solid. That worked great. Woot, woot, woot. Feel a little sink. I hope there's not a leak somewhere. Guess we'll drive it for a while and see what happens. Hopefully that right front brake is working now. We will find out. Finally. So far so good. Shouldn't say that. Not going very far yet. So here's a good spot. It goes a little teeny weeny bit left when you first tap on the brakes, but I'm not going to worry about that. We'll get that worked out of it eventually. See my probably a bunch of rubber hoses on the vacuum stuff down there needs to be disconnected. She's running good, other than it's idling really fast. She's a gutless turd. Whew, wow. I spent a ton of time off camera going through and getting the headlights working, the blinkers for the most part working, driving lights, cleaned out the interior, took down the headliner and painted that. I'll just take you around and do a little show and tell here. I think I didn't test the brake lights because I can't do that by myself easily, but the blinkers are working, so I'm guessing the brake light would be working, but our front blinkers aren't working. But the lights and everything else are working, so if I have to, I can easily patch a temporary wire up to the blinkers to get those going. The indicators on the dash and the dash lights aren't working too, so I wouldn't be surprised if a mouse didn't chew through a wire or two in there somewhere. But we've made huge progress. It's to the point now where I'm pretty excited to get my roller back out and do some more paint work on this beast. So that may be coming soon, but obviously my goal is I need something to drive. All these cars, and I don't have something to drive right now. Every freaking thing is broke down. Anyway, I'm working away at it, but we needed to get this on the road to haul firewood anyway, so I made this a priority, and it's not finished because I don't have my Mopar license plate on the front yet, but I've got to get some. I used the last set I had on the 47, so there you go on that one. All right, let's take you for a quick walk around, and yeah. Okay, lights, camera action, all that stuff. Love this hood ornament. I actually have a spare. I'm happy for that. But the interior looks pretty good. I've got to get a new floor mat or some carpeting in here. I've got good maroon carpeting in my other truck, but it's a two-wheel drive. I think that would be kind of a pain in the butt to try to make work. So we'll come up with another plan. I got some ideas on that. I got to get the door panels on, which is no biggie. I've got at least 2 sets, if not more, so I can pick the best ones because these are known for breaking. Here's our headliner back here. This had that vinyl on it and it was peeling off, so I just painted it with this goldy color. I may go over it with some satin black after just to dull it down a little bit, but I think she's looking pretty good. It's pretty gummy. I just painted it a bit ago. Yeah, so oh yeah, see, this is all the stuff that was on the headliner here. You can see it just kind of melted over the years and fell down and stuff like that. So anyway, she needs a good, there's my Mopar plate. She needs a lot of work. I cleaned out all the mouse nests from down in there. So we'll do the right thing and close that back down. So just in case I missed some, we'll have some opportunity to deal with that. Progress. The four-wheel drive, the four-wheel drive light is on, as I mentioned. My recollection is that's usually the vacuum line to the front axle actuator. And if I remember right, I don't remember right. It's been so long since I drove this. Maybe it used to do this once in a while and eventually it would go out. I don't remember. I did test it, and four-wheel drive comes in and out. And when I was working on it, I could spin each wheel free, so I know that the vacuum actuator's working, but there's another thing for the light. If I remember, there's a switch that's, I don't know, it's been so long. I was in a dealership when these were brand new. You think I'd remember, but you know, it was 1988. That was a long freaking time ago. So I just came back here to the 92, and that's a cloth headliner, and it was falling down as was typical. These door panels, though, these are really nice, and they're the same color as the ones. They just need a little cleanup. So these are probably the ones I'm going to use, because if I remember right, my other ones weren't the best. Again, the carpet, but it's a two-wheel drive, and that hump is different, and I think that's going to be a problem. It's taller and wider, and I don't want to mess with it, but I do have some good sill plates to put in the other one, so we'll come up with a plan. This topper goes on Wanda, although we'll have to do the right thing and do a little patchwork there. But I do want to paint this black also. I think black with the white inset would be nice. So at some point, right now I've got a bunch of pickup parts stored in there, so I'm not worried about it. I think I'm just about to the point on this now that I may strip it and part it out. Was thinking about keeping some of it for floor pans for the 78 that I've got coming, but I don't know. But I've got to get rid of some cars. I've just got too much stuff here. So, yeah, I got more coming, and I don't want to piss off the neighbors or stuff like that. So, Not my neighbors I'm not worried about, but I want to stay in good standing with the township. And so far, no problems because I keep the place pretty respectable looking, and it's not junk cars sitting around except for a couple back here. So try to keep that stuff behind the barn. I want to get this all cleaned out soon so I can line vehicles up back here out of sight. That's good progress. I'm going to call it quits there today. It's actually getting quite late in the evening now, and Becky will be home from work anytime, and I haven't even thought about what I'm making for supper yet. So, but yeah, it's we are super close to being able to license and insure this thing and get it back on the road after 10 years, probably more than, about 10 years that it's been off the road. So that's pretty exciting. A lot of stuff has unfortunately deteriorated after all that time, but que sera, sera. One more bite on the project. That's what matters. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. More coming on this. This is probably going to be my daily for a while. The Ram truck is down. The cylinder 5 is now completely dead, which is good because that means it will be easier to diagnose the issue, which I think I know what it is. I have actually spent a lot of time off camera working on it, chasing things down, swapping parts around. I swapped injectors, I swapped plugs again, I swapped coils again, I replaced the crank sensor, just to be sure it isn't something electronic. And I was pretty convinced it was mechanical anyway, but it just never seen anything like the way it acts when you're driving it. So good news is all that made it worse. I don't know. Anyway, Wanda will be back, and so will I. I hope you will too. We'll catch you on the next one. Rock!